What's going on, guys? Clifton Denny with On Your Own Outdoors. Hey guys, so today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. 99% of the time you see me with a bow in my hand, but as I talked about earlier in this year, I've got a 6-year-old who's coming up, getting ready to hunt, and I went out and got me a tripod. So the tripod that I ended up going with was the BOG Field Pond. Are you sure? Are you positive?
Yes.
Top circle is on the B.
Yes.
Let it eat. Woo! That's what I'm talking about, dude. Give me 5. I think my man is ready to go. So it come in, I think I got it at Academy. It was like 119 bucks, something like that. So they're definitely not cheap, but they are worth the bang for your buck. So it's got a 20-inch by 40-inch stance is what it comes out as. What I've got set up here right now is my muzzleloader, so you can just kind of see the stance of how it goes. But we're going to talk about all the different movement options that you have with this thing, which I think is crucial, right? So as of right now, as you can see, the gun's not set in there just perfect because it was actually set up for a crossbow, a Raven crossbow for my son to sit out here and shoot so we could get ready to go out in the woods. Unluckily enough, we didn't see any deer, but that's part of it, right? So anyways, we'll kind of start with it here. So number one is this. So you see that, how you can tilt it and it holds. I'm not touching it or whatever. Why is this a big deal? This was a big deal for my 6-year-old because where we were sitting was kind of angled, you know, we were down just a little bit and he was going to be shooting up just a little bit. And I don't have to rely on him to be able to do that movement. Also, if you were out west and you were glassing, so you wanted more of a downward angle on it, you have that option where you can just leave it sitting, you don't have to mess with it, and you can just jump in the scope, look out as your glass, and then jump back out of it. So I think that number one was probably one of the biggest reasons why I thought this thing was so cool. And now I'm gonna move the rifle, and we're gonna kind of talk about some of the other options that this BOG has. Number one, before we even get into that, it does come with the shoulder strap. I took the shoulder strap off because what I do is I compact it and then I stick it down in my backpack and zip up to this part and just leave that part kind of sitting out over the top. That's just how I choose to run it. I'm not telling you what to do. You can most certainly keep the shoulder strap and run that way. But moving over here, so you've got these 2 little clips here. You undo those claps and you can see that it extends out. So if you have a longer rifle or like us with that crossbow, you bring it in short, crossbow sits in here, that Raven is tiny. Crossbow sits in here, you don't have any issues. If you have a long range rifle and you wanted to extend that dude out, you have the option there. Here in the middle, you've got a spin knob on top. So what you can do with this, which I also thought was super beneficial for the ground blind, because while we were in the ground blind, I needed the bow, my kid's name is Beau too, but I needed the bow as close as I could get it to the edge of the window to make sure it was gonna clear it. But I needed it scooted forward because I could not scoot the tripod up anymore. So you can undo this one that's here on the top, and that gives you the availability to slide the whole top piece forward or backwards. And again, that's something that I don't even think I would have thought of if it wasn't an option, but having that as an option was crucial for us inside the ground blind. All right, so I want to talk about these wing nuts that are here on the ends and what their purposes are. They're actually multi-purposes. So as you can tell here, this is set up for the front of the rifle and the back of the rifle, right? And if you look inside of it, you can kind of tell that you've got the wider gap and then you've got the tighter gap on the back. But say, this is actually kind of extreme too because of my crossbow, or my son's crossbow, but say that we wanted something that was going to be more flat, it was more of a square style rifle, you can back these wing nuts off and that gives you the availability to change the height of your actual rest itself on top of the tripod. So that's another option. Or you can back it all the way off if you were toting it somewhere, and you can lay that thing flat, tighten it back down. The back side has the same thing. I've already backed it off, but you can back it off. You can push it up or down. So say we want to push it down right now, back it the rest of the way off and fold this guy up so that it's in there like swimwear. So we got it in there. Now it's tightened up. Now over here on this other side, you'll find one more wing nut. It's the last one we're gonna talk about. But basically what it's for, which also worked out really well for my son because I could tighten this thing up and he couldn't move it. But you can loosen it off and it gives you the availability to kind of spin this pretty freely, or you can tighten it back up and it stiffens it up. And down here on the bottom, you've got two different level options. So, you know, if the ground's unlevel, you know, I think everybody kind of understands the purpose of that. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and push these up, because I wanna show y'all how small this guy compacts so that you understand what I was talking about with just putting it in a backpack. So you've seen how big of a spread it had, which is absolutely phenomenal. But now it's packed up, I can take this guy, bend it over the side, and I can shove that dude down in my backpack. And then I just leave the top piece sticking out of it. So you just went from that big setup all the way down to this. You get ready to break it back out, you pull these guys down, and you are good to go. So let's talk about some pluses and minuses, I think, with this tripod myself. So number one, let me be honest, this is only the second tripod I've ever owned, and the first one was most certainly a very, very cheap model. It was not a good one. So when it comes to this one, things that I like about it and things that you get when you upgrade to the nicer one that was quite a bit more money that I saw there. So with my son, when I carried this one, I actually carried 2 neck gaiters, and I stuck those neck gaiters down on here just to kind of help it keep it from making noise whenever, you know, the crossbow bumped up against it, and just kind of give it a better bed to lay in, if you will. And then number 2, I would have liked to have backpack style straps on this. I understand that for most people's purposes that probably wouldn't be beneficial at all, but for what I was doing for it, already having a ground blind set up back here for me and my kid to go to, that would have been pretty beneficial. Like I said, I don't have the one shoulder strap on it right now. So that's probably the only 2, I guess you'd say, negatives that I have. The positive, well, the last one is I wish it was a little bit taller. So you can kind of see where it's sitting at now. It's definitely not too short. It's about perfect because you can raise these on up as well. But I would have liked for the money to be able to stand up and shoot with it, and that's not really an option. You can kind of straddle and shoot with it, but actually standing up and shooting with it's not really an option. But the pluses, all of the adjustments that this thing has is absolutely insane. From being able to slide this guy out to fit your stock, to be able to slide those guys up and down to fit you know, the height that you want. If you can't get it out of the legs, you know, you can probably bring that thing up another 6 inches, which is absolutely huge. So you've got all the adjustments. You've got the small frame, which is great whenever you're in a ground blind or a situation like that. So all in all, for 120 bucks, and it's not very heavy, it's pretty lightweight. It actually feels heavier when it's set up like this, but once you collapse it all down, there's hardly anything there. So all in all, I think the BOG field pod is outstanding for what it is, understanding what it is, and understanding your needs before you go get one. It's hard to beat, especially for 119 bucks. So it's kind of that middle of the road kind of tripod. So, hey guys, that's all I got for y'all today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go back to the main page. Hit the little bell up top, because you never know, we're going to do a product that you just might need that you didn't think that you would ever even see on my page. So that's all we've got, and we'll see you from a tree. Good hunting, guys.